unlike the next movie, which was, of course, Tanner's pick this week, the 1964 film Zulu. Please describe its plot.
That's right, guys. Zulu is about the Battle of Rorke's Drift, wherein a British group of soldiers, whatever you call it, a battalion, a platoon, perhaps? I don't know what the technical term is. They get attacked by a big old group of Zulus, and they gotta fight them off or die. And they don't die. I mean, some of them do, but, a lot of them don't. Fun fact, most of the Zulu extras were actual descendants of the Zulus who fought at Rorke's Drift.
There's a lot of naked ladies in this movie.
There sure were. Tanner, did they do anything for you?
Maybe a little bit.
Did Antonetta watch this with you?
Yeah.
What did she think?
She went to bed before it finished. She was too tired.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, okay, right now I'm at an A- on this one.
There we go. Okay. Dylan, how about you? You seem very shocked.
Can I go last, please?
No.
I want to see if I'm the wrong one here.
Go for it, dude. I have a strong feeling you're not.
D-.
Okay, well that's maybe a bit low. I give it a C.
I also give it a flat C.
Okay, do we want me to talk it up first or Dylan to talk it down first?
How about I shoot straight for a second? I think the acting is pretty well done. I think the setting is totally generic. Honestly, this is trying to take place, it's just trying to be a historical retelling of the events of this battle. Yeah.
Jackson, before you give your thoughts, can I do a real quick, it's based on a true thing. Let me just do a, how accurate it is.
Sure.
So it's kind of like on the macro scale, it's not very accurate, and on the micro scale it is. The biggest thing that they changed for the movie is, in real life, the Zulus who attacked Rorke's Drift, they weren't sent by the chief. They were reserve troops from the first battle we see who didn't get to fight at all. And so they just go off and find Rorke's Drift to attack because they want to get some glory. And the king expressly said, hey, we're not going to fight battles on their land. So they're breaking the king's rules to attack Rorke's Drift in real life. And then on the micro level, it's largely accurate in terms of... One of the advisors they had on it was one of the princesses of the Zulus, and she was the tribe's official historian. And so she literally drew out for them, oh, this is exactly the battle tactics that were used and how they did it, and they just filmed that exactly as it happened. So the way the battle itself plays out is very accurate. It's just some of the context that's altered.
Anyways, back to what I was saying. This movie, it's got good acting. It's kind of whatever setting. Not really much they could have done in that idea. As for the historical accuracy of it, Tanner just described it. Generally, I think it's just kind of a whatever movie for me. I liked the first part, and then they got to the battle, and I just immediately got taken out of it very quickly just because of how kind of dumb it is. There's thousands of these Zulus. They're attacking, obviously, you have to get in the headspace of them, They're doing their own style of battle tactics. They don't value human life as much as we do, but, it's just so incomprehensible as a viewer watching 4,000 of these fuckers just be retards against 100 dudes. They have guns. They're not trained with them, obviously. But, even in the battles, they have overwhelming numbers, and somehow they're still fighting back. I don't know how it's physically possible. Especially in a lot of the scenes, it looks like they're losing numbers like crazy. But, in reality, they only lost, 15 people or something, which is absurd. But it looks like they're getting fucking mauled immediately, and there was, 4 waves of this. I don't know how the fuck they lasted at all. It just was very unbelievable, and the action was pretty fucking terrible, too. I think they did an okay job with some of the deaths, but, most of them just look bad. They just, somebody gets poked with a fucking stick, and then they just go and fall down and die, and people get shot and there's no fucking bullet wounds or anything. Obviously they're limited by the times, but it just looked really fucking goofy for the most part. It took me out of it, honestly.
Yeah, that's my biggest complaint as well. I think this movie is it's a bit too ambitious for the year it was made. Because I could very much see them making this even 10 years later and they have access to like squibs, and that would instantly like make it way better, because like with the range combat, you know, it looks fine when they're shooting the guns because they have blanks and whatever, but they don't have they don't have blood packets or anything in this year, and so it's just the Zulus going ah, and then falling over in a goofy way. And then the melee combat is obviously the one that suffers the worst. It's just atrocious. Like, it's terrible. They don't have, I'm guessing in 1964 they didn't have like retractable blades, and so they have to move super slowly when they're stabbing people, and I give a little bit of leeway because it's just like, you know, what year it was made, but still it really does hurt, you know, the battle scenes quite a bit.
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Still A+ though, curiously.
On the flip side, also, I kind of predicted that this would be a complaint from you guys where you're like, I don't get why the Zulus would be doing this, is blah, 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 blah. But like, hey, you know, they did that in real life, so, you know, get over it or whatever.
I'm watching the movie. They could embellish that shit.
I think that's fair enough. I think something I think this film did pretty well is I felt like there was a really good like sense of dread leading up to the battle. Like they really make it seem like, oh, these guys are like probably fucked, you know?
I would agree and disagree with that point. I think some characters portray it well. Specifically, like I think the one that shows it the most for me is just that one guard who was holding the fucking the priest guy, I guess, inside of that storage area, and he was fucking he was like, tell him sweet nothing about how he's gonna die and everyone's gonna die, and he was taking that very poorly. But most everybody else was kind of just like, yeah, fuck it, you know, this is happening, who cares, you know. They kind of knew they were probably fucked, but they weren't like outwardly showing it because they're soldiers, presumably. But there's also like scenes like, you know, you definitely feel that sense of dread when they had like the train noises going on, but like the characters weren't particularly acting like they were like super scared of it or anything. So I don't know. It was kind of 50-50 for me. Like honestly, I felt like I was more worried for them than the characters were in the film.
Okay, I can understand that. What else was I gonna say? I think aside from like there not being blood and them not being able to show it, I think there are some pretty cool moments in the battles. I think when they're doing the like door-to-door fighting and they're like busting holes in walls to start fighting or jumping through the roof, I think that scene is pretty cool.
I think that particularly when the fucking dude set up like the fucking like 3 squads for like the firing simultaneously, and just that scene of like squad 1 fire, squad 2 fire, just going repeatedly through those. I thought that part was really well done.
Yeah, I agree. I think that scene was
personally
sweet.
If I was the Zulus, I would have went behind him. I will agree. This is going to be kind of a non sequitur, but I read the Wikipedia article for this battle because I was also curious about the historical accuracy of it. And I'm going to be completely honest, I was a lot more invested reading the fucking Wikipedia article about the fight than I was about the actual fight. Like, the way they're describing, like, the wall combat they did was a lot cooler sounding in the Wikipedia article than it was portrayed in the movie. Also, this is going to be just like another random kind of funny thing. I got fucked on in the Goblin Camp of Baldur's 3 the first time I played it, and the scene where they're defending themselves inside of the fucking hospital area where they're punching holes in the ceiling and shit really reminded me of that, like how hopeless and surrounded they felt.
That's very funny.
Another thing, so I made the mistake of reading some Letterboxd reviews of this movie, and it's just people, you know, screaming out like how racist it is or whatever, and they're just wrong. I think this movie is, for the year, impressively respectful of the Zulus. Like, I don't think either side is portrayed as particularly villainous. I think it's like, you know, they're like, yeah, the Zulus are at war, so they're gonna attack this place, and then these soldiers, they have to defend themselves. I don't think they really say these are good guys, these are bad guys. And with a lot of the maneuvering the Zulus are doing, like, I think they show them as like, yeah, these are competent warriors, and they are making like intelligent moves on to try and do this attack.
Yeah, honestly, I was rooting for the Zulus throughout the entire film.
It's still baffling the amount of numbers they had, and they didn't just go, let's just fucking surround them. Like, they've got a north and a south wall, let's just attack them at the walls. Like, maybe this is obviously probably just, some misunderstanding or lack of knowledge, maybe ignorance even, about how the Zulus function as a society, and especially with their war ideals. But like maybe they have like some sense of pride or something. Like they see they're holding two separate fronts. They want to, try to engage against them in that way, to not be like disrespectful or something. I don't fucking know. But like with those numbers, and you got people like they can are on top of the hills, they can see the entire fucking battle and how their formations are set up. It's just so baffling that they would just meet them head on.
So, to my knowledge, like the Zulus are like a warrior tribe where like fighting wars isn't just like a thing for resources or whatever for them. It's also like a cultural thing. And so like they have a sort of a sense of like the honor of combat the same way that, like knights did or whatever. Which is why they, before they'd attack, they were like, doing battle chants and banging their shield. Like they're making sure that they're coming because they want that fight. They want the glory from like overcoming an opponent in like, an honorable way.
Yeah, that's why they do like the exit the way they did too, where they like kind of send them off like, congrats, you won.
Yeah. That didn't happen in real life, unfortunately. I think it was just like the leader of that group was like, well, we've taken a few too many losses and we're not supposed to be here, so I'm probably fucked. Let's leave.
Yeah. Going back to your point about the not racist things, I actually will agree with that point a lot too. It actually did seem that they're pretty respectful about it. They regardless of my criticisms of how effective the Zulus were in their actual engagement with the British, they did at least appear that they were coordinated to a reasonable manner. They were issuing good tactics. They had valid strategies that they were using. They didn't make them look like they were like totally fucking incompetent the entire time. And especially too, like whenever somebody was trying to knock on the Zulus in any way, they were very quickly shut down and told like, you should not be underestimating this, so you're fucking stupid for doing that, which I can appreciate a lot. I honestly, I don't know why people would take this as racist. Maybe they should, be more introspective.
Yeah, I can only assume it's like their brain going like, showing them as tribal equals racism or something. I really don't even get it.
Dylan, as a black man during Black History Month, no less, did you think the portrayal of the Zulus was racist?
Oh, man, I can't lead with the comment I was going to say. It's going to look really bad on my part. What was the question?
Do you think the portrayal of the Zulus in this film was racist?
I think it was just an African tribe from the 60s being an African tribe from the 60s. I don't know what more there is to say about it.
So no, I guess.
Okay. One last thing before we get Dylan's thoughts. I think they got me to like maybe not emotionally, to like really
cry.
Get the sense... No. To really get the sense of like, oh, this is like an exhausting thing they're going through. Like they have them like, especially after the first night, I feel like they do a great job with like the makeup to make them all look like fucking Jesus Christ. These fuckers have been waking us up every couple of hours.
One other scene that I liked a lot in this film was the big singing scene when the Zulus started doing their chant, and then in response the British started doing their little song about the Welshmen. I thought that was super well done. I was a big fan of that one.
Yeah, I agree. Dylan, why do you not like this movie?
I'll agree with at least one of your comments, Tanner. I did think this movie was a little overly ambitious for the year that it was made, and it very much shows... I don't know, this movie just to me was just boring and disengaging, and the action looked bad. I didn't think the acting was particularly great. The setting was whatever, and you're in the middle of a desert, there's not much you can do, and I'm not going to discredit the historical accuracy of the event, but like, they just didn't do a great job at capturing my attention, and I just didn't feel anything while watching this movie. Like, sure, I'll also agree with, like, the air was filled with a sense of dread, knowing that you got this guy in the camp, like, oh yeah, they'll attack in waves, you guys probably have, like, an hour before they come back. So it's like, there's that kind of stuff set up. But, like, I don't know, there was just a lot of immersion breaking in this movie that just didn't allow me to get fully into it. And, like, I'd watch it again, I just wouldn't want to, because it's just, like, there's no substance to this movie for me. and it has a lot to do with this movie being overambitious for its time. I think that's literally the only thing that's taking me out of this movie, is when movies are trying to be something that they can't quite be. Because, they had other options, potentially. I don't know what options they had in the 60s while making movies, but it's just like, in my mind, a thought occurred, and it's like, some director or producer said, good enough, let's put it out, and this movie was produced and, released. And that's just such an appalling decision in my mind. Now, obviously, from the outside looking in 60 years later, obviously that would be a common thought. I'm sure back then it probably wasn't that bizarre. But yeah, the choreography and the action scenes could have been a lot better. And it was mainly that there was like immersion breaking. So I don't know, maybe it's too harsh of a ranking. I just really didn't enjoy this movie. There's like a lot of older movies in this same vein that I enjoy a lot more.
I agree with Dylan. Old, bad, new, good. Fuck this movie. They should just get rid of any film made prior to 1970, I'd say.
I think this movie would have been better if they made the Zulus animated. Imagine a bunch of CG Zulus rushing down the British.
Dude, think about some paper mache ones. I think those would go hard.
They should have had them all be sock puppets.
That's fair enough. Another scene I thought was pretty good was when the horseback riders show up and then immediately leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
I thought that was
fuck
hilarious.
you. They're not gonna help it.
Yeah, it's like, why would they? I don't know. They're fucking manic for trying to get the help of them.
Yeah.
I'm just now reminded that they were waiting on backup that never showed up, so that's kind of funny. And was it supposed to show up in the timeline of the movie that we watched?
It showed up at the end.
It did? I was so
Yeah, at
disengaged
the very
from
end
the
of the
movie, I
movie,
didn't even
the
notice.
backup is there.
Bro fell asleep.
Unfortunate.
Final rankings.
Yeah, so as for our rankings, I suppose, yeah, I'm still, I think I'm going for C. Jackson, you sound a bit more positive, though. Are you thinking maybe of bumping it up here?
No.
Okay. Dylan, how about you? Did Tanner's glowing review of this film sway you?
I'll give it a D+, whatever.
Whatever. There we go, Tanner.
Yeah, I'm still at an A-.
Okay. I thought you said A+ before, my apologies.
No.
I'd still be very hard-pressed to watch this movie again, but there are a few things that Tanner and Jackson pointed out that it did okay, so I'll give it credit for
I
that at
definitely
least.
would watch it again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to watching it again. I don't think it's a bad movie at all. It's just if anything, the fucking action scenes might be even funnier the second time around, just because I'm not going in with the expectations of it might, maybe being good. That was also
Right.
something I didn't really talk about. I was like, I did like the intro part of the movie, and then we got to the battle scene. I was just very let down, unfortunately, and that certainly affected it.
Yeah, I'd say that's the big thing.
Yeah, so maybe going in the next time, I'll rate it higher because I just think it's kind of some dumb fun. I'm not going to take it as seriously.
Yeah. I think I'd probably be willing to watch it again if it were within the setting of a history class.
I'll watch it with my grandpa or something.
There you go.
And, Jackson, I think there's something to be said for it getting you to actually go read some of the history of this event.
I thought it was interesting. So yeah, I would agree. I'd give it some kudo points for that. Not enough to rank it up higher, but
I got what I needed.
It's hard to get put into my headspace of why I went and read it. I think I literally was just like, were the Zulus really this fucking stupid?
Oh my god.
All militaries were.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. We can stop talking about it. It doesn't fucking matter.
What's our next film?
Wait, did you give the overall, Jackson?
Oh yeah, the overall is C+.
Oh,
Thanks.
okay. No biggie,
C+.
dude.